Hey folks, Dr. Rowe here. First of all, I'm sorry if I've been off the grid for a few days. As you know, generally I'll do 1 or 2 live videos a day. However, I have been somewhat preoccupied for the last few days, and I've been wanting to share this with you because it became very self-evident to me that my personal circumstances were very much reflective of what Maslow talked about with his 5 hierarchy of needs. That he created this model called the hierarchy of needs, and there's these 5 needs within that hierarchy. First of all, I hope you're all well, keeping safe, keeping distanced, and looking after your health, and you had a chance to maybe watch some of the previous lives, and hopefully the Growth Tribes interview that we did about a week ago, which has had a lot of great feedback. So thank you for those of you that took the time to watch that in the Growth Tribes podcasts. So I've done a triangle here, which I'm about to explain to you in just a moment, which is essentially a simplified version of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I just wanted to share with you a current situation I'm in. So we literally came to the end of a short-term tenancy about 3 days ago, and our house has been under renovation for about 8.5 to 9 months. There's been a whole set of circumstances in my world that has turned it upside down, spun it around, thrown it upside down again, then thrown it back out. And then on top of that, COVID-19 comes along as well. And it's made it a very, very challenging period. Whatever happened though, I had to make sure that we as a family, I've got a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old, and my other half, so the 4 of us got back into our home, which is basically still a building site. Due to the circumstances with coronavirus, COVID-19, between ourselves and the builders, we made a decision that it was really the best thing to do for them not to come to site. We've only had a few people just working on the external part of the house, and it happens to be, I think, a few family members that live together, and they do external works. That's it. And one person that's coming in and has been doing some tiling inside the house whilst we've not been there. So everything's shut down. But what it meant was the house was not finished and not habitable. So I want to share with you this. So Maslow came up with this theory, which has really become, if you go and you live on a day-to-day basis and you understand what this is, you will see how we as human beings flow in and out of the hierarchy of needs. And I want to share with you how COVID-19, the whole coronavirus situation, has thrown us into very specific elements of this. And it just shows you when human beings are under pressure, when human beings are exposed to something that puts a lot of pressure on them, we will naturally revert to this. Now, I want you, if you've never studied this before, let me just explain what Maslow shared with us. He said this. Now, I'm trying to do this in reverse. My camera's on selfie mode, so I don't know if you can see this is it in a mirror image or is it normal? You'll have to tell me. Anyway, that says P, S, L, B, E, and SA, and that doesn't stand for South Africa. I'll explain what these stand for. So P stands for our physical needs. So let me explain that first. What Maslow said is every single human being, no matter how wealthy you are, how poor you are financially, no matter what your circumstances, we all have a basic set of physical needs. We need to feed ourselves, we need to clothe ourselves, we need to stay alive, we need to breathe, we need to drink water. We have certain things that we have to do. We have to keep a roof over our heads. That's our physical needs. That's really about us being able to survive. That is the base human need that all of us have. If you found yourself in a situation like some people have found in this last 2 or 3, 4 weeks, where suddenly they're in, we've got people out on the street here. Other people have been left homeless. There's a massive need to help so many people out, and that's at the top of the pyramid. Every single human being, yourself included, watching this will have your physical needs. And that means you've got to eat. That means you've got to protect your family. That means you've got to make sure there's enough food and everything. So when we had the announcement and coronavirus was starting to spread as quickly as it was, and COVID-19 was being spread everywhere and everyone started to panic, what did they do? If you remember, there was a rush on the supermarkets. So people went down and got toilet roll. a basic human need. Although you can use all sorts of other things, but obviously for the average person, it was like the obvious thing to do. Go and get toilet roll, get food. If you remember, the shelves were just cleared. People starting to think ahead. Oh my gosh, what if we get locked down? What if we need to live in our house for the next 2 to 3 weeks? We've got no frigging food whatsoever. So this is where Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes straight in. This is where I'm going to just hash this in here. This is where the majority of the population have been living in this first week or so. Literally, how do I survive? How do I make sure that my family is safe and I survive? That's the physical needs. So that's what he talked about. Now, I'll come back to my situation in just a minute. The next one is safety or security. All right. Now, that means that you've got your physical needs met. And now this is really about you having financial security, having a job, a career, security in the sense of making sure that you can afford to keep paying your house, etc. So you're looking after your mortgage payments. You feel safe in terms of you don't want to have your family threatened, a life-threatening situation, etc. So having fed yourself and got your basic needs met, then the next thing is, okay, what do I need now? I've got to keep the roof over the head, got to keep the money coming in, got to make sure that I'm feeling safe. If this makes any sense at all, maybe give me a thumbs up or put a little sign up or something so I know, give me a heart, whatever. Hi Dee, good to see you. So our basic human needs get met by the physical, but then the safety as well. So this is number 2. And if you look at what's been happening, I'd be interested to see how many of you relate to this. I'm just going to shade them in slightly differently. 1 and 2 is where I think most people have been living, and sort of there's emotion. I've got messages coming in on my phone, just bear with me. So this is where most people have been focused in the last 2.5, 3 weeks. So for example, as soon as the government made their announcements, there was an initial shock, and people started to go, oh my God, I need to get food. Then it was like, what about my job? How am I going to get paid? The tradesmen that were working on our house. Look at the profession I'm in, speaking. I go out, I get paid for speaking. Yes, I've got my properties, they bring an income in, but that's also been affected as well. So, hi, good to see you, AJ. So what I want, sorry, I haven't got my glass on, so I'm trying to say I can see D there as well. What I'm trying to say is, make no mistake, every single one of us, all of us, myself included, all of us right now, because of the shock that's happened, this is our first natural place that we go to. And this is what Maslow talked about. Every single human being has physical needs and then a need for security. And at the moment, over the next few months, what the government are doing, for example, is they're trying to take out measures to help keep people in their jobs, supporting their finances, making some grants for companies, helping out, mortgage companies are trying to help out with mortgage holidays, etc. All of that sits here. So what Maslow taught us was that on a day-to-day basis, we have to meet these. Now we get hit by something that is global and is affecting every element of our life, our health potentially at risk, right through to our financials. So anybody that has property or anybody that has a business, of course, or if you're in a career, these will still be affected. That's why the whole nation is coming together at the moment. It's fascinating to watch when you look at the human psychology behind it. Now, the L and the B is what he referred to as everyone needs to be loved, or a sense of belonging, right? So we're all doing that naturally as a course of us basically in our families. So most people are pulling together. But frankly, if you can't feed yourself and you don't feel secure, that puts a lot of stress on this side of it. So a lot of families, there's disputes going on, there's arguments, people are falling out in some places, other people are getting closer. You will not get to a strong sense of bonding with other people if you're still drowning over here, which is why so many people are going through some really big freaking emotional shifts at the moment. And until this gets stabilised, and I was speaking to somebody today, and he's not even sure he's going to have an income in about 3 weeks' time. He's just like, what do I do? I've fallen through the cracks in the government business model, and they're talking about possibly self-employed getting 5,000, whatever it is, £2,500 to £5,000, whatever the figure is, in maybe May or June, but we don't know yet. So again, lots of challenges here. Maslow then said we need to have a sense of our ego being fulfilled. We need to feel like we're recognized by other people. Significance is another word for that, however you want to put it. So we want to feel a sense of importance. But if you notice, most people's sense of importance right now is slid right back down to here. Anger. This is where anger comes in. So what somebody will do is they'll get angry. They're like, fucking hell, I'm angry with the government for not reacting the way they did. I'm angry with the company for not paying us or whatever. So they tend to get their sense of importance or sense of significance in here. And that whole side of our ego tends to kind of spring off here. But quite frankly, for most people, if you look at the way the world is reacting at the moment, we're down here. Then we get to SA. Now, SA does not stand for South Africa. SA stands for self-actualized. And that means giving beyond yourself. That means the ability to give, to grow, to give to charity, whatever it is up here. So the theory was, and it stands in most circumstances, as Maslow described it, is if you've got your physical needs met, your security and your safety net, your finances in good place, you've got good connection of family around you, you have that sense of importance, you feel like your ego's been met, etc., significance, whatever Tony Robbins will refer to as significance. Then typically what happens is people tend to want to be able to give beyond themselves. Now, that's charity. But what we're seeing is, and I find this amazing, is I would say that is where a lot is happening at the moment. So if I look at COVID-19 at the moment, we're seeing 1 and 2 definitely playing out massively. I went down to the supermarket today, massive queues there. Still people are nervous about this. But we're also getting a large percentage of people now wanting to go and help the elderly because of the risk of life. You see, their life is being threatened, which means the elderly's life is being threatened down here. So other people, even though we might be struggling or trying to find our own footing, we're doing something to help other people. So it's fascinating to see the top and the bottom of the pyramid actually being, really played out in this situation with coronavirus. On a personal level, I want to share with you, I literally had to go off grid. I had people calling me to do with my business. Just a whole load of stuff going on. I've just gone back to people and I've said, I'm sorry, just leave me alone for 2 or 3 days. Because I'm down here. We were basically homeless. From the 31st of this month, we had nowhere to live. So I had to take we've emptied out some of the office now. I had to take all my possessions back to a half-finished house. So no finished bathroom. The heating was on, thankfully, in part of the house. We just got a tiny little sort of area set up with a sink in the kitchen and a washing machine. No surfaces. The kitchen is not made up apart from a few units. So we've literally had to drag the kids back into sort of a concrete floor here with a half-finished builder's dust frigging everywhere. And we've polythene stuff off, tried to use vapor barriers on the ceilings because we've got insulation and shit like that going on. So all I could do for the last 3 days was that. Just focus on our physical needs, looking after my family and making sure they're okay. And I actually thought to myself, I've reverted right back to that core need that every single human needs. You have to put something in place to protect your family. And that's what I was doing for the last couple of days. As much as I wanted to send a message out to everybody and say hi and just keep this stuff happening, I couldn't do it. Because that meant that I would have to break that pattern, probably go to here. And although, yes, I can go and help and maybe serve you with a message, I had to stay focused. Thankfully, the kids are in, roof is over our head. We had our first meal last night and they bedded down, they slept okay. There's still stuff going on, of course, and we've had somebody in tiling today to try and finish off an area so we can get a toilet fitted properly, etc. But we're okay. So it all plays out. This whole human psychology, if you really study it, watch yourself, watch your own reaction to what's going on in the world outside, you will be behaving somewhere in this pyramid, this hierarchy of needs. And I think it's a chance to emotionally develop. It's a chance to grow through it. And hopefully you might even take some of this insight to share with other people. Because sometimes when people are drowning, if you just give them a slightly different perspective on things, they can actually learn from it. Anyway, it's Saturday night. I'm sure you want to go and, I was going to say you can go out and party, but you're not going to be partying. You're not going to be down the pub. So you're either going to be curled up with your loved one, watching TV tonight, reading a book, or doing something. So I wish you luck with that. I am going to finish off bringing some stuff back from the office here, cupboards and things like that. We're going to be taking back to the house. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody. I'll send some more messages out next week, and it's nice to see a few of you watching, and big love to all of you that I know that are watching tonight. Take care. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, COVID-19, direct connection.